The good God gave our first parents the conscience, the first divine law. He engraved it deeply in their hearts, and ever since then every person has inherited it from his parents. Whenever a person does not act rightly, his conscience works within him, reproaches him, and guides him toward repentance. But a person must carry out proper spiritual work and examine his conscience so that he may always be able to hear its voice. If he does not examine it, he will benefit neither from spiritual reading nor from the counsels of holy elders, nor will he be able to keep God's commandments. Father, can a person fail to observe himself at all and not realize that he is going astray? When a person does not observe himself and does not wipe the dust from his conscience gradually becomes covered with a layer of stone, and he becomes numb. He sins and carries on as though nothing had happened. Father, please tell us something about watchfulness over the conscience. For a person to be certain that what he is doing is truly what his conscience is telling him to do, he must watch himself and open up to his spiritual father. He may have gone against his conscience and yet believe that he is doing well. Or he may have formed a distorted conscience and even after committing a crime, believe that he has done a good deed. Or he may even have made his conscience overly sensitive and thus harm himself. Father, I judge others inwardly without feeling the reproach of conscience that I should. Could I have become spiritually numb, and is that why my conscience no longer reproaches me? Great watchfulness is needed. When someone commits a sin for the first time, he feels a certain remorse and is saddened. If he repeats it a second time, he feels less remorse. And if he does not pay attention and continues sinning, his conscience becomes numb. Some people, for example, when you correct them for some fault, change the subject so that their conscience will not prick them and cause them sorrow, like those in India who seek to attain nirvana. A young man in the Himalayas killed 5 Italian climbers. After burying them, he began practicing self-concentration. He sat down and repeated, "Wood, wood," for 2 hours, trying to enter a state of emptiness, forget what he had done, and silence the thought that reproached him. Suppose I reprimand a sister because she has done something improper. If she does not carry out proper spiritual work and does not seek to correct herself, she may say at that very moment, "Today we should strike the monastery's wooden semantron earlier for Vespers," in order to change the subject. Afterward, the devil will confuse her and say, "Do not worry, you did that so that Father would not be saddened." The devil even provides her with a justification. He does not tell her, "I did it to silence my conscience and keep it from reproaching me," but rather, "I did it so that Father would not be saddened." Do you see what the devil does? Subtle work. He turns the dial to another frequency so that we will not see our fault. Father, can someone notice small details but fail to recognize serious faults? Of course. A spiritual father I knew once told me the following incident. A woman went to confession, weeping continually and saying, "I did not mean to kill her." If there is repentance, God forgives. He forgave David as well, the spiritual father told her. "Yes, but I did not mean to do it," she said. "Very well, how did you happen to kill her?" The spiritual father asked her again. "While I was dusting, I struck her with the cloth and killed the fly." "I did not mean to do it." Yet, on the other hand, she was unfaithful to her husband, had abandoned her children, had broken up her home, and was wandering the streets. She told the spiritual father about these things as though nothing had happened. "You must do a penance for these things," the spiritual father told her. "But why must I do a penance for those things?" she asked him. "How can such a person be helped?" "Father, when someone tells me, 'This desire is in your subconscious and you do not understand it,' how can I become aware of it? If you pay attention, you will see that you do not feel well, even though you say that nothing is wrong. That is why you need to seek counsel. When someone does not feel well, suffers some physical weakness, and so on. He undergoes laboratory tests and a CT scan to discover the cause of what he is feeling. If you see that you have no peace but instead feel sorrow, know that something within you is out of order. You must discover what it is so that you can correct it. Suppose you commit a fault, you are saddened, but you do not confess it. Afterwards, something joyful happens to you, and you feel happy. This joy covers the sorrow caused by your fault, and little by little you forget it. You no longer see the fault because it has been covered by joy. Joys cover the fault and push it lower, deeper within, but it continues to work inwardly. In this way, a person begins to harden because he covers over his conscience, and little by little his heart becomes coated with a sticky filth. Then the devil justifies everything for him. This is nothing, that other thing is natural. Yet the person has no rest because sorrow continues to work from the depths of his soul. He feels troubled and has no inner peace. He lives under continual stress. He is tormented. He cannot discover what is wrong because his faults have been covered over. He does not realize that he is suffering because he has sinned. Father, can such a person be helped if you tell him the cause of his suffering? Caution is needed because when you set things straight for him, his conscience awakens and begins to reproach him. If he does not humble himself, he may fall into despair because he cannot bear the truth, but if he humbles himself, he can be helped. Father, are there people who are born with an insensitive conscience? No, there are no people who are born with an insensitive conscience. God did not create such a conscience, but when someone covers over his faults, his conscience gradually hardens like stone and no longer reproaches him. And then he becomes autonomous and makes his own laws. Yes, it is terrifying. And is this spiritual delusion? Yes, of course it is spiritual delusion.